Hello and welcome to the latest edition of Doorstep History, which once again comes to you from the splendid surroundings of Soho House in Handsworth. Now for this series, most of our programmes are coming from here. This is Soho House in Handsworth.
The dining room was the focus of this house.
A new trail has been produced mapping the geographical and historical points of interest around Acock's Green, and Norman went to meet the man behind it, Mike Byrne.
Well, it's one of several initiatives designed to improve Acock's Green and get people to, if you like, love it more. There's been a very successful Britain in Bloom scheme for a number of years, and Acock's Green got gold last year. And the centre along Warwick Road has had the 1930s road widening removed in order to increase the width of pavements and to make it more pleasant for people to be sauntering around amongst the shops. So this trail is, if you like, a third element of this years and years long attempt to, if you like, rehabilitate Acock's Green, because like a lot of suburbs, it's past the heyday that it once had, and this trail hopefully will bring pride to local people, visitors, people from other places who will be able to see what Acock's Green is all about. Everyone thinks that the centre of Acock's Green is the roundabout in the middle, and that's true today, but where we're standing now, almost at the edge of Acock's Green, is where the historical Acock's Green really is.
So you decided, Mike, to produce a number of these plaques, and I think there were about 8 of them altogether?
Yes, there are 8. The trail goes through the centre and out towards the second village, if you like, the Edwardian village along Yardley Road. All the boards look the same, they have the same design, they have a map in the middle which relates to what you can see from each board, and then they have captions which develop themes about Acock's Green, and then there's 4 pictures on each one with their own captions. So they all look the same because it's a trail. Local people wanted an Anglican church here, and building on that started in 1866, and it's a strange building because it never got a tower and a spire, so it's not as impressive a sight when you look from the centre as it ought to be, given that you would expect it to be a natural focus. The church as it is was built over about 40 years. It's got some nice features in it, including a Burne-Jones window, which miraculously escaped the church being bombed in 1940. Norman, we've just walked past the railway station on our way up here. This was the reason why Acock's Green developed in the first place. When the railway station was built, land was sold for housing, and very large houses of wealthy businessmen were built in the years after the railway station opened, and some of them were very prominent figures in Birmingham's iconic industries, jewellery, brass and gun making. In fact, several of the founder members of the BSA lived in Acock's Green. Important gun makers like Swinburne, Bentley, Playfair, Wilson, who was vice chairman of the BSA, and Mackay, who was the general manager of the BSA. They all lived here in Acock's Green. During the Edwardian period, there was a big increase in population, a second wave, if you like, which was caused by sale of land by the Greswold Williams family, who were at Malvern Hall in Solihull. And you could say that a second village developed here.
This stop here, we've got quite a range, a variety of different types of architecture, haven't we?
Yes, the oldest ones are listed cottages. Some of them may be as old as 17th century underneath the facades. And all around them are very, very attractive houses built by a local builder called Williams and Boddy, right at the end of the Victorian period and through the Edwardian period. This was part of the sale of land by Greswold Williams, and for me this is the most attractive part of Acock's Green.
Now, there are many other interesting buildings and exciting places to look at in the Acock's Green area, and they're all included on the leaflet. Now, part of the area includes Fox Hollies, and that's worth a special feature on itself, which we'll perhaps do in a later programme. But for now, why not get a trail leaflet and go for the walk around and have a look yourself.
Now, if you've enjoyed what you've seen on Doorstep so far, then please don't hesitate to get in contact with us. You can contact us on Twitter at Big Centre TV, Facebook, look for Big Centre TV, or you can email us hello@bigcentre.tv. Now, Norman's found something in Acock's Green that's not actually on the history trail. It's a nice little petrol station that made national headlines nearly 50 years ago.
Birmingham played a leading role in motor car manufacture and design, so it was fitting that an innovation in petrol station design should start in the city. As motorists returned to work after the summer holidays in September 1968, a new site greeted them. Might just look like an ordinary petrol station in a suburban street. This one is in Acock's Green. But in 1968, it made national news. The reason? It was the first ever petrol station without pumps. An underground system electronically fed petrol to hoses which were suspended from the roof. Motorists stopped inside circles which corresponded with the type of petrol they required. It was a space-saving device invented in Japan, where there were over 1,500 similar stations. By eliminating the lines of pumps that we associate with service stations, it was said the floor space available for cars was increased by around 40%. It was also claimed that it was quicker for motorists to use, because cars could drive in and out freely at any angle without having to line up alongside the pumps. It's not known when the experiment was discontinued. At the time, there were around 40,000 petrol stations in the UK, but none were quite like this. It's a quirky but interesting fact and a great piece of local history. Now, last week we introduced you to the Where's Our Spake Gone project, looking at how dialect is changing in the Black Country. Today we're going to have a look at a film made by the group looking at Oldbury.
Our heritage give us the dialect that we got because it was used by us so nobody else would know it. You know what I mean? It's like an Indian speaking Indian. You know what I mean? He speaks Indian because that's his heritage, he's Indian. Now, we speak English and there's Anne, but our heritage, I mean, you've took enough of our heritage, you ain't taking no more. You've took enough, you took all our industry. I mean, you talk about making steel, you know, you're standing in the place that was the most famous for making steel was.
The identity of the region was mainly through industry, and although dialect was important, it was almost like secondary. So within the communities, the dialect was important, but as an identity, the region was identified by its industries, because you could probably pick up something anywhere in the world that was made in the Black Country at that time. Since industry has gone, the dialect has seemed to become more important in terms of claiming an identity for the people, both locally and as a region.
I worked with people from the Black Country. I worked in an office and I worked with the girl from Cradley. And I think they're nice people.
Actually, there's still this connectedness and this local identification. I still feel that. And I think it's in that the language and the dialect still survives. It's in that kind of quality. And that's true, I do think, still of Oldbury. Not as much as perhaps places like Cradley Heath.
Well, he was over the depot at Old Hill, And he said to him, do you want a job as a dustman? So Alec said, oh, he'd come out the army. And he said, yeah, suit me. And he went to work at Oldhill, and after about a week, I said to him, how's your job? Do you like your job, Mick? And he said, oh, it's great, the job's all right. I'll be all right when I can understand the people I work with.
Oh, yay! Oh, yay! Oh, yay! You're watching Doorstep History on Big Centre TV, Channel 7 Freeview and Channel 159 Virgin Media. God save the Queen!
Now, when we think of the armed forces, we think of the Army, the Air Force, the Navy, but there's another group of people at sea called the Merchant Navy, and they sometimes don't get the recognition, perhaps, that they deserve. Very recently, Birmingham celebrated Merchant Navy Day.
Birmingham's Lord Mayor, Councillor Carl Rice, met members of the Merchant Navy Association outside the Council House in Victoria Square to celebrate Merchant Navy Day and to raise awareness of the UK's ongoing dependence on Merchant Navy seafarers. He read a message from the Earl of Wessex.
Very much hope that you will support the campaign by Seafarers UK to remember the sacrifices, salute the courage and support the future of the often unsung personnel of our Merchant Navy. Too often they are the forgotten or invisible service, and by raising the red ensign we will ensure that at least on this day they are remembered. This act will mean so much to their families and the retired, but especially to those at sea. Here we go, come on then, pull. I need help of a younger man, you see. It's not long.
Elegantly done.
I spoke to John Turner of the Merchant Navy Association Midlands branch.
But people don't realise who we were and what we do. Yeah. We go into schools, and I asked one question in school to all the school children, what did you have for breakfast? And they said cornflakes or whatever they had. Well, where did you get it? Oh, we got it from, where did it come from? Oh, Morrison's. And they don't realise that 93% of everything that comes into this country comes in by sea. And that's why we like to celebrate the Merchant Navy. And that's why I'm proud to be a member of the Merchant Navy Association.
The first vessel to be sunk in World War II was a merchant vessel, the Athenia, which was sunk on the day war broke out. Amongst the 128 passengers and crew that were killed were a man from Birmingham and another from Dudley.
Was the first ship on the 3rd of September to be blown out, merchant ship to be blown out the water on the very first day of World War II. And that is why we Merchant Navy Day was branch and was given a degree by government that Merchant Navy Day is on the 3rd of September.
The Merchant Navy was also vitally important to the country during more recent wars, such as the Falklands conflict.
I volunteered for Falkland Islands, but I was too old. So that's how, yeah. But because in the Falkland Islands, let's say, I think there was about 17 Royal Navy ships. I don't know what submarines there were, but I know there were 17. And there's about 70 odd merchant ships there, including the Queen's and the Canberra as hospital ships. Yeah. And then people don't realise that the Merchant Navy, without the Merchant Navy, the Royal Navy wouldn't exist. The country would not exist without the Royal Navy, without the Merchant Navy. Malta, in the cathedral there is absolutely a wonderful glass plated merchant navy corner where it's the merchant navy, because Malta was saved by the merchant navy, and so was World War II. Without World War II and the tanker that came in, whether it was half sunk or half afloat, with the oil for the Spitfires, Rommel would have walked over Malta into Europe, and that might have been the end of it. But the merchant navy got there in time, and they had sufficient fuel to feed the Spitfires and the ammunition, and they saved. They throttled Rommel.
And today, in more peaceful times, merchant vessels carry around 90% of the country's imports. This is Norman Bartlam for Big News in Victoria Square, Birmingham. Now, as summer comes to an end and autumn comes along, we're perhaps thinking about starting to put our central heating systems on. And at Soho House, well, Tom.
Well, Soho House, in its day, had a rather revolutionary heating system. And Matthew Bolton's been telling you a bit more about it, hasn't he?
Certainly has.
The house can get extremely cold in the winter time. And with my friends, we'd seen Roman remains where they used to have central heating. So I designed a central heating system for this house. Here was the area where we kept the coal, which went down a chute into a small furnace. And that heated water, which then had steam which could rise. The warm air through the steam then would pass through the house through ducts I put in the walls. And these actually had little passageways that went up the stairs and then into some of the rooms themselves. There was a little flue to take away the waste products as well. The central heating system was extremely excellent. My friend, Dr. William Withering, then had it installed in his house at Edgbaston Hall. And I do believe that this was the first house since Roman times to be centrally heated in Britain. Here are my stairs. The heating runs all the way through the house. The ducts go on the side here, and heating can come through here and go through the holes in the stairs. So therefore I could walk up in my bare stocking feet and still have warm feet in 1770. Here is the grill where the heat comes up into my daughter Anne's room. As you can see, it's very nice, just simple, with this beautiful piece of marble over the top, and the house can be beautifully warmed. But we did only use it in the winter time when it got very cold. In summer, if things got a little bit chilly, then we have the normal little fireplace here.
When I was in the secondary modern school, we had this lady camp and we'd got to speak proper. Right, so it was proper hello like this, you see. So you imagine 35 girls trying to speak cradly, and we all spoke Brummy, whatever, majority, and we were there trying to speak like this. How now, brown cow, you see. So if you got it wrong, crack on your fingers. So at the end of the lesson, when they were going home, it was a corridor school, so the kiddies were going home could see in the classroom was all us prefects standing with our hands on our heads because we wasn't speaking proper English.
Well, the wench is something that you call your sister. Usually it's something like your sister that you call the wench. Or women were called wenches, weren't they, before? But it's like a term of endearment. Yeah, our wench. Tony he'll say, have you spoke to our wench lately? No. What's our wench want? Has it been on the phone? Yeah. And if he's talking about her, he refers to her as a wench, not a name.
Thinks, my London missus, thinks that derogatory. See, wench. And I mean, I dare say, if you look it up in the dictionary, it probably is derogatory. I think it derives from wenches in taverns, you know what I mean, things like that. But they always called them wenches, young wench, as a young wench. In the black country, it was accepted as a done thing, you know what I mean. I seen 4 young wenches up the park, you know what I mean. It weren't meant disrespectful, whereas in other parts of the country, it's very disrespectful. I use it like, I mean, I call my daughters wenches. I've got 2 daughters, now I call them wenches. God bless them. And I don't mean it, I wouldn't have nothing said wrong about them. I'm my daughters, you know what I mean? But yeah, but I do use the word wench.
Yeah, we used to make jokes up, saying, they say, "Oh, your baby's ugly." He said, "Yes, I know. We used to feed her with a catapult. That's why it got shutters on her pram, you know." My mum got mixed up one week. She put the nappy on the wrong end. That's how ugly the baby was, you know. But I mean,
Well, the babby is a term of endearment that is used quite widely, I think, in the Black Country, and it refers to anybody from birth to death, I would have thought. If you've got a child of your own, it doesn't matter how old they are, you still call them the babby. My babby is my daughter, Vicky. She's 47. And my grandson's 18 and he's a baby as well.
Okay, so if the children are playing and somebody's a little bit upset, I say, "Oh, come here, me baby." And I bring them over to me and I put them on my knee and I go, "You all right, me baby, me baby?" And the children love it, and it's not a word I should use in school at all. Like, we shouldn't call them babbies or babies or anything, but it does make me smile and the other staff, and they all will have it. "Oh, come here, me baby."
Babby, you see, Babby ain't really Black Country, it's a cross between Black Country and Brummie.
So that's it from this edition of Doorstep History, coming to you from the beautiful Soho House.
So goodbye and thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching.
See you later.